Merry Monday. It's the 14th of December 2020. I'm Guy McPherson of Nature Bats Last. You can find Nature Bats Last at guymcpherson.com. I'm going to present a few of the headlines going back to last Friday as or after the markets closed right up until this morning as an indication of where the stock markets in the United States are headed this morning. The wrap provided by Reuters, as I indicated in the Friday video where this was headed. Here's the headline from Reuters: stocks slip, dollar gains as concerns remain over stimulus talks. That's really the whole story of last week, is that stocks declined slightly, the dollar went up slightly, and there's still a lot of concern about the direction of the economy. Also dating back to last Friday, from NBC News, Congress passes military authorization, 1-week funding bill to avert government shutdown. Here's the subhead. The short-term funding measure buys time for leaders to negotiate a year-long funding deal and coronavirus relief. I'm not sure there's enough time in the world to negotiate all that, but we'll see. From Axios, the coronavirus pandemic is killing public life. Yes, it certainly is, and there's a lot of concern about that, both from conspiracy theory, batshit crazy people who think the virus is made up and therefore they're being denied the freedom to go out to drink and eat at night, and also from actual scientists who know better and are still concerned. From MarketWatch, despite stock market rally, the rally going back over the last several weeks, despite stock market rally, investors aren't fully convinced vaccines will tame COVID in 2021, survey finds. Well, of course not. A vaccine is one part of a comprehensive strategy to deal with the coronavirus, to deal with SARS-CoV-2. And that's the case with any significant public ailment of any kind. It's not a one-size-fits-all, just take this shot and the problem is solved kind of situation. It's far more complicated than that. From Business Insider over the weekend, I'm getting a sense of deja vu. A prominent bear rips into the argument that the stock market's obscene valuation is justified and lays out why a Great Depression-like collapse could strike at any moment. Not only Great Depression-like, but in excess of the Great Depression, which is exactly where we're headed, as I pointed out in several of these videos over the course of the last month or two. An indication comes from CNN Business. The 30 retailers and restaurant chains that filed for bankruptcy in 2020, and these are some big names that filed for bankruptcy or got bought out, or both. From the Economic Times, the current IPO craze is starting to look a lot like the 1999 tech bubble. I'd say it's a lot worse than that. The bubble this time is much larger and is looking around for the pin to strike so it can implode, explode, plode, whatever. From Reuters, UN chief urges leaders of every country to declare climate emergency. That's right. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who indicated that we would pass the point of no return when we got into 2020, is now calling for a climate emergency again. And we're certainly in a climate emergency. And I think it's appropriate to call for a climate emergency to point out that we are in the midst of abrupt, irreversible climate change. But that's no solution. It just gets the word out. I think it's important to get the word out. It's also important for people like Antonio Guterres to admit that there is no known solution for abrupt, irreversible climate change. And what it spells in the wake of vertebrates going extinct and mammals going extinct is that the vertebrate mammals known as Homo sapiens are also on the verge. From Times of India, man-made mass now outweighs life on Earth. And this is a wonderful study conducted and published in Nature, one of the premier peer-reviewed journals. And it indicates that it includes paragraphs such as this. The weight of roads, buildings, and other constructed or manufactured materials is doubling roughly every 20 years. And authors of the research said it currently weighed 1.1 teratons, or 1.1 trillion metric tons. As mankind has ramped up its insatiable consumption of natural resources, the weight of living biomass, trees, plants, and animals, has halved since the Industrial Revolution to stand at just 1 teraton currently. So there you go. The stuff we make exceeds the living material on Earth. This is winning. From the Motley Fool, Warren Buffett, a market crash is coming. And Warren Buffett has been pointing this out for the last couple or 3 weeks, as I've pointed out in these videos. From yesterday, first trucks with COVID-19 vaccine roll out of Pfizer plant in Michigan. That's from NBC News. The subhead, Pfizer is expected to deliver an estimated 2.9 million doses this week to hospitals and nursing homes in the first phase of the vaccine rollout. Meanwhile, from Bloomberg, Merkel orders Germany into hard lockdown as infections swell. Upside, downside. More on the downside from BBC News. No pickers, no coffee. How COVID threatens Colombia's harvest. Talking specifically here about the coffee harvest. And I can assure you that none of those 2.9 million vaccines are going to Colombia to poor people who are picking coffee. Finally, from this morning at CNN, U.S. readies for first COVID-19 vaccines as country nears 300,000 deaths. Tell me again how it's a hoax. Tell me again how it's made up. Tell me again how the cases are being exaggerated. Yes, under-exaggerated perhaps. 300,000 deaths with the number per day at or exceeding the number who died on 9/11/2001 as a result of the falling of the tower in New York City, and so on. So, it's all looking bad. How do the markets look? And then, as if finding a vaccine to SARS-CoV-2 is the only challenge faced by contemporary society, the stock markets are off to the races this morning. The Dow is up more than 200, the NASDAQ up more than 100, and the S&P 500 at about 30 points in the green. So there you have it, the full wrap. What do you think about that? I'm pretty sure I know already, but speak it loud enough to... Exactly. A puppet after my own heart.